What's up, guys? Hopefully everyone can hear me on this Saturday afternoon. I appreciate it. We're back live here on YouTube, and shout out to Mallard Estate Outfitters. My buddy Monty McWilliams. He has a huge duck hunting operation in West Tennessee, and he's been supporting the channel for over a year now. And if you or anybody wants to go on an awesome duck hunting trip, deer hunting, or even turkey hunting in West Tennessee, look him up at mallardestates.com. So yeah, I'm going to wear this sweet hat he sent me, and I told him I'd give him some love on the YouTube show. So he is the title sponsor of the show tonight, and that's something I'm going to possibly keep doing if companies want to help out. And as you know, Stix Fishing is a big supporter of the Baitman and the channel, so make sure you check out Stix on their website. Use that code Baitman to get 10% off anytime. And I definitely like working with Casey. Had some good talks with him this week, and he loves what I do. He said always keep it real and shoot the guy straight, and make sure you're not just out promoting one brand or whatnot. If people got a question and they want to know about deep crankbaits, make sure you tell them everything out there, not just Stix. And I totally respect that, and I think that's why we work so good together, because I'm going to keep it 100. And tonight we're going to talk about some really small baits. We're going to talk about Ned rigs. Now, I'm not a Ned rig guru. I've been using it more and more, so I'm really going to go what works really well for me. I've got several different types of heads right here. This is my little oh shit box. It's time to get out the really small stuff. So I've got this little Gamakatsu G finesse box. I really low down with small stuff. You can get these on Tackle Warehouse. These are really nice. So, and I'll show you some of the baits I've been using and having success with on Ned rig. Now, there's tons of stuff out there for Neds. It is becoming like the biggest trend in fishing, other than maybe swim baits. And I keep it really, really simple, and I think that's the best way to catch a lot of fish. And I've caught plenty this spring, and it's a really good technique right now in this post-spawn transition where these fish are in some parts of the country, especially my lake. You got a lot of fish that are trying to spawn. You get some that are done spawning, and you got some that are haven't spawned at all. So it's a good way to cover lots of different areas that you may miss with faster moving baits or bigger baits. But yeah, we'll talk about light hooks versus heavy hooks. Me personally, just depends on the situation. I really like, most of them don't have a big tuna hook in them. But if you're throwing a braid to fluorocarbon, I do like a little bit stiffer hook. But I'm gonna hop on Facebook real quick and share this video. Got a couple things to show you guys before we get into Neds, and I'll answer some questions as always. Give me just 1 second. And make sure you give this video a thumbs up for me and share it. Well, I do got some good news for those of you guys that really like joining in on Facebook Live. I haven't done a Facebook Live since January. That's going to change Thursday. I'm going back to my original time of Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Time. So I'm going to have my live stream here on YouTube on Saturday nights, and then Facebook back on Thursday night. And I got my buddy Brent Anderson coming, Kentucky Lake legend. He's going to get on here. Brent's going to talk about catching Florida Jaints. He's got a guide service in Florida. He's also going to be guiding on Pickwick Lake, Tennessee. He's going to go over some stuff to catch some really big fish on the Tennessee River lakes, especially Pickwick. Now that we've got that shared up on Facebook, let me get back here to the chat. Alright, let's answer a few questions real quick before I'll show you a couple cool things. I haven't really got a bunch of crazy tackle in or anything lately, but what action and power rod to use? I use a 7-foot medium action rod with a pretty soft tip. I really don't change much off what I would throw a drop shot on. Maybe just a tad stiffer. Kevin, did you get the new Mike Buka Triton swim bait from Carl's? I have not got any. Mike's going to send me some personally. It was something I requested from them. I hope to do a video over that bait for MTB. I knew about that for like 3 years. They originally came to Mike, and Mike said he would not do it unless it was to his specs, and it was basically a bull shad in different packaging. It was not, just a cheapened down version of his bait. Yes, it is cheaper, but he got to select all the components in it and make sure each what they were putting out represented a bull shad very well. It wasn't just go straight to China and copy. So I'm really excited for Mike. That's a awesome deal. Let's see. I bought a 7.5 light fast spinning rod, and I'm sold for Ned rigging. I'll be honest. I don't use anything longer than 7 foot for a Ned. Some guys use a longer rod. A lot of guys use a short rod, like a 6 foot, 6.6, and I kind of like that. You don't get the casting distance, but a lot of guys fish this thing kind of like you would for bluegill. So, right. So part-time fishing event. I actually started all this live streaming on Facebook like 3 years ago. I actually started out of my kitchen table, and I'd get like 30, 40 viewers, and then it kind of grew as I moved in a tackle store to 50, 60 viewers. Then I was getting 100, and I enjoyed Facebook. Sometimes it's hard keeping up with the comments, and I haven't figured out how to stream using this HD equipment and mic into Facebook, but now that I have, I'm going to do that. And that's where it all started, and there's a lot of people on Facebook that seem to haven't come to YouTube. So, right, I thought so too, Frank. I think the lake's fishing a little better than people give credit for. Yes, the kitchen table days are pretty awesome, yeah. I do have a Beast Coast Magic Flick. I'm actually looking at it right now. It's right across the room from me. That's a great drop shot bait. I like those guys at Beast Coast. They make some really good stuff. No, it had nothing to do with me doing YouTube. I always did Facebook Live, and I used my cell phone, and it was just quick and easy. But things evolve, and I really actually like doing YouTube more because I was having to basically re-upload to YouTube, and that'd take an hour or two. And now, once the stream's done, in about 30 minutes, it's fully accessible. It just makes things a whole lot easier. And I couldn't really get the same quality streaming on Facebook as I can here on YouTube, but I figured that out. So my boy Brent Anderson going to be on Thursday night on Facebook, and I will re-upload it to YouTube, but he's going to be here in the bait room, and we're going to go over all kinds of stuff to slay Jaints. Again, he's got it on Pickwick, but he's been tearing them up in Florida. He's got a little adventure called Vero Trophy Bass, and I'm not going to lie, they catch like 100 3-pounders a day. It's unreal down there. So if you know of anybody wanting a trip, he's the guy to talk to, especially on Pickwick. Brent's made the All-American like 3 years in a row. My buddy Frank Hazley that's on here, he knows who I'm talking about. Frank's a hammer too. Don't let him fool you. Him and his partners. I almost went fishing with them this week. So, but hey, I got some new stuff in. A lot of you guys have been asking about this right here. I got me some Tokyo rigs in. So I'm really excited to try this. This would be great to try out, especially that there's a lot of fish shallow and heavy cover right now. I'm probably going to put me a little creature bait on here and go to work. So there's, if you haven't seen the Tokyo rig, that's what it is right there. So you get this wire that kind of comes down off this split ring, and then you're going to swivel here, and this wire holds your weight, so it suspends the bait about 3 inches up off the bottom. Hey Jade, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate it. I hope you're having a great weekend. I promise I'll put that 99 cents to good use. It helps me get this cool equipment and stuff like that, and make some tackle purchases. I got something really cool I'm doing tomorrow, guys, for somebody special that's a subscriber that's in town. I'm going to film it, and stuff like those little donations help me do those things. So I think it's kind of like just a good option, Frank, but really good on pressured fish. And man, it's becoming one of them deals. A lot of guys pick that up first. It's a good way to catch a limit. Wow, that's crazy, Joe. But so I got some Tokyo rigs, so I hope to play with this. And everybody asks about every episode, have you thrown a Tokyo rig? So I walked in the store this morning, they had some, and I said, man, I'm going to grab me a few of those. So, and you can make your own. I don't think it would be really that hard, but man, I ain't got time to sit there and fiddle and make baits. I just go buy them. I wish the packaging was a little bit better. I mean, I don't know what I paid for these. $3.79 for 2 hooks. I bet they're charging like $1.50 just for that little piece of wire. But I actually like the VMC hooks really well. I have not, Jason. That would be cool. What's up, buddy? How's Illinois doing? Okay, so I'll tell you all about the tournament. I sucked. We caught 1 fish. I didn't even catch a keeper. It was really bad. I had like 4 blow-ups on a frog. I missed one like 4th cast in the morning. That was probably legit 3 to 4 pound fish. And that was about it. I had a couple bites on a fighting frog, and that's it. Sean, appreciate it very much, man. I've been wondering where you're at. Thanks again for the donation, dude. We're going to load up some tackle, because guess what? It is getting to be my favorite time of the year, which is offshore structure fishing. Notice I didn't say ledge fishing, because I don't fish just ledges. So I'm going to hopefully be able to do a webcast webinar tutorial over structure fishing using Lake Master and live streaming, show you guys what to look for on your home lakes, and break down a few little areas on Kentucky Lake and how I position the boat and stuff like that. So look for that in the next couple weeks. I've got a lot of videos I got to shoot. We're going to go over everything from deep crankbaits to this guy right here behind me. We're going to talk about hair jigs. We're going to talk about big swim baits, big worms. And those will be just not so much live streams, but regular videos, and got a lot of good things going here. So I made a post on Facebook. I got a company that's reached out to me. It's really popular. Make some videos for them. It's not wired to fish, and I'm really excited about that. Got another company that's reached out to me that you guys know about. I talk about them a lot. Not going to say a whole lot, but they've kind of reached out to me and asked me to come work directly for them. And, I just pray about it, and hopefully I'm led to make the right decision. But the video and media stuff is kind of getting out of hand, where I'm going to have to make a decision. Do I build windows, or do I jump and do my own thing here out of the bait room every day and see where we go from here? Because I really don't want to put my YouTube stuff off. I love doing it, and it's becoming a small source of income. Granted, I'm not making a whole lot of money, but I enjoy the video aspect of it. I love creating and educating, and I'm really excited about that. But anyway, lots of good content coming. But I got, if you haven't known, speaking of Strike King, this has been one of my favorite colors for a long time. And I walked in a tackle store this morning, and they actually ordered these for me because I was out. And I love my chartreuse and purple, and I love my bluegill colors from 6 Cents and stuff like that. But this color has been out for a while. I don't think a lot of people know about it. And this is called a Moongill. This is a Strike King 6XD. And this little guy right here, I hammer them on Lake X, but it's also really good on Kentucky Lake. And it's kind of it's a bluegill color, but it's almost a purple splatterback. And now it's not white, it's almost a bone, and it's got a little orange belly to it. But this guy in a 5XD, man, I smoke them on this bait a lot. But I got me some 6XDs. Reason I like these kind of gill colors when they first come off the beds and those brammers starting to bed, this is really good. But you can get these on Tackle Warehouse. It is a special run color, but I noticed they picked it up. And then I actually got some in a red-eye shad. I mean, this color is sick. So Mark Menendez designed this color. I guess he was kind of channeling his inner Baitman with the purple on there. But man, very similar to the splatterback with like a chrome purple and like that bone. Man, they eat this. I love the red-eye shad too. But you know, like I said, I may talk about 6 Cents and promote them, but that's not the only baits in my box. I love Strike King deep divers. And the cool thing, this bait's got red eyes. A lot of baits you see today, they don't have the red eyes. So, yeah, it's almost like a purple root beer. That's a really good example right there. But this is called MM Moongill. Mark Menendez designed that. You can find them on Tackle Warehouse. It's just a really good color. And I'll get more into the bluegill style baits when we get a show like that. And then I also got this guy. This one wasn't designed by Mark Menendez. I think you know who probably designed it. This color's called Purple Freak Show. And this got hard to get. I couldn't get them in the square bills, but that is a KVD J300 Deep. And yes, that is Chartreuse Purple. And the Baitman did help design that color last year for Strike King. And that is a dealer exclusive. So your local Strike King dealer, if they order from Pittman Creek Wholesale, you can ask them to get some Purple Freak Show in, and they should. But they said, hey, we need a couple custom colors for our dealers, and I made a couple, and this has been one they've been using for about a year now. So somebody asked me if I had any of these, and yes, I do. So great bait too. Probably one of my top 5 jerk baits, obviously. Man, I've got a mess in the bait room. I've got to clean it up soon. So that's really about all I've got new. Let's see how many people's on here. But anyway, so guys, do me a favor. Make sure you smash that like button tonight. And I'm going to answer a few questions and we'll get on with it. Let's see. Off topic, which heavy rod do you recommend? I have a heavy, but it's cheap and very heavyweight wise. Where's mount? Well, I have a 7.3 Daiwa pitching rod that's a heavy. It's really good. I tell you, I've been using these Douglas rods. They sent me a 7.5, a 5-power heavy, and I've been pitching and kind of flipping with it. It is super light. Now you're not going to be cheap with that. That's going to be a $300 rod. Lew's makes some really good rods at $160, $170. I actually really like those Lew's Magnum hammer rods, the custom speed sticks for the price. They're really nice and light. And then the new 6 Cents sensory rods, when they're going to be out, they're sweet. I've been using 7.1 medium heavy, and it is light as a feather. I got this Stix Power Stick. That's a great rod, $99. It's light, got plenty of action to it. Let's see. Baitman, do elephants eat peanuts? Z-Man Ned Rig, Dobbin 765, Flip Fury, best rod for 120. Actually, I know a guy that caught a 7.5 on a Ned Rig. So there's big fish that eat the Ned Rig, especially when you're talking about smallmouth. What do I think about the A-Rig? I don't think it has anything to do with Neds. But I don't throw it very much. I hadn't need to this year. It's not been a good A-Rig bite on this lake. So the Stix Heavy is pretty good, man. I've thrown swim baits and I've pitched with it. It's a good rod. Now it has It has a moderate fast action, so it doesn't. It's not like a heavy extra fast. It's got some parabolic bend, which I've noticed those rods that have a softer tip, I'll lose way less fish on. What's your favorite kind of worm or wacky rig? What types of lures are your confidence go-to lures on tough days? Man, I just wacky rig a trick worm or a Cinco, to be honest with you. I don't get too crazy about it. When it's tough, man, I'll throw a small finesse jig, or what we're fixing to talk about right now, a Ned rig. A little 1/8 ounce shaky head with a trick worm has caught me a lot of fish when it's really, really tough. So, what do you think about the wrap, aka DT20 metal? DT20 is a heck of a deep crankbait. Caught a lot of fish on it. So, yes, sir. Lake Barkley kicked my butt this week. 8 hours, 3 fish. Not sure if anyone else had trouble like me. Me and Jesse, Lake Barkley's been on fire for me. That's where I have gone doing most of my fishing at. I've been catching them really good out of the bushes on a frog. Also been catching them on Reaction Innovations, Marin Bear Pig, and the Big Bite Baits Fighting Frog. So, hello Simon, I'm doing good. I'm trying to upgrade from my spinning rod, Dobbin Sierra. What's the next rod you would recommend? Man, that's a really good spinning rod. If you're going to upgrade from a Dobbins, the only place you can really go, in my opinion, is go up to like a Steez Dowel or an NRX Loomis. Those are the top tier spinning rods out there. And there's some other brands, don't get me wrong, but those are the ones I know most about. 6-inch rod wraps, hooks poke out. I haven't had any poke out on mine yet, so they actually won't cover your hook. They go about 4 inches from the top of the reel. I do like Terminator spinnerbaits. Caught some good smallmouth on the TRE today. You're talking Neds, and I'm taking them all out of the boat. Inch or less visibility. Yeah, when it gets muddy, that's the thing I'll tell you. The Ned does not excel in dirty water. You can get away with it in a little stain, but the Ned technique is really good in about 1 foot to 30-foot visibility. Super clear water, but you start getting less than 1 foot of visibility, you really need to go to a bigger bait. That's when I'll go to maybe a shaky head. So somebody asked me about the Zoom beatdown, and this is just my opinion, and I tell it like it is. I am really disappointed in Zoom. The last 4 baits they've come out with is basically somebody else's design. They just copied it and put Zoom on it in their colors. And that's fine. That's the fishing industry. But, man, I own a ton of Zoom, and they have made so many great baits that's their own deal. It's not a spin-off of anybody else's. And I'm really tired of seeing Zoom's got a new bait, and it's either a Kitech knockoff or it's somebody else's stuff, and they just put their own colors to it. And part of what makes that Ned bait good is the plastic. So obviously the Z-Man stuff I really prefer, but I'll try it. I've got plenty of Zoom stuff, and that's just the fishing industry for you. So it is what it is, and I'm definitely going to say you're going to catch fish on the Zoom beatdown. I've got to get some spicy beavers in my hand, Aaron. Nowhere local has them. I've reached out to my buddy Josh over there to see if he can send me some. Haven't heard back from him. Nothing wrong with that. I know he's a busy guy, but I will definitely have me some spicy beavers. I ain't ever turned down a beaver, I can tell you that. Okay, so let's start off. That's a good question, Rick. Let's talk about size line on Ned rigs. So I personally use about 15-pound to 20-pound braid. I may go a little heavier than the normal guy. So I like 15 to 20-pound braid. Whatever preference is your favorite. I like dye with J braid, and I use Sunline braid SX1 quite a bit. And then I use a 6 to 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. And that's probably heavy for many people. Again, this is not my primary technique. And I fish a lot of cover and structure, whether it's brush piles or stumps and stuff like that. and I want to make sure when I set the hook I don't break off. So now, traditionally, a lot of guys use 4 to 6 pound fluorocarbon, 10, 15 pound braided line leader. Spinning gear, the lighter line you can use, the more bites you'll get. I'll just tell you straight up. I like the Ned Bomb. I got some. Robert, I know because I'm on a dealer's list, and there's some people on social media that have talked about it. That's right. Can you use a rod for wacky fishing to Ned rig? Yeah, you can probably. Your wacky rod is probably a good Ned rod, just to be honest. Hey, no problem, Rick. I appreciate it. FC 10 pound Sunline is really good. I like that's my preference in fluorocarbon is obviously I've always been a Sunline guy. I like Assassin. I do like Sniper pretty well on spinning gear, especially for later material, because using that braid, what braid allows you to do, there's no stretch in it, and it spoils on spinning a reel and cast so much better. And then you just do a leader. I like a leader about the length of the rod. I tie RP knot, whatever connection knot you like, that's fine. But I've always just used an RP knot or a Alberto knot. That's the best ones I've found. I'm not going to do a live stream, tie them together, because I'm telling you, it takes me about 20 minutes in the boat. I can't do it very well. But when I get one, it's good. I mean, I literally had a leader to braid for like 6 months last year. But, all right, let's talk about Ned. So if you don't know what a Ned rig is, I got another little box of Ned baits too somewhere. Look here. So if you don't know what the Ned is basically this right here. This is the original Z-Man TRD. So TRD does not stand for turd. It actually stands for the real deal. And it was invented by a guy in the Midwest, and it was originally known as the Midwest finesse technique. And his first name Ned. So what Ned used to do was take the Z-Man Zinkers, which is their Cinco style bait, and cut it in half and thread it up onto a homemade little mushroom head. And so hence that's how the Ned rig was born. So he got with Z-Man and said, hey, I'm using these Zinkers, blah, blah, blah. We catch tons of fish on it. It's the ultimate numbers technique. And then they come out with the TRD, which is the real deal. I don't know if we will. I think Z-Man's got a niche. I don't think they got a really good deal, but I think for the most part there are some intricacies with this Elastec. It's very limited on what kind of terminal tackle you can use on it. There are guys that don't want to go out there and spend a ton of money on different terminal tackle just to use one type of plastic. Your Zooms, your Strike Kings, your Reaction Innovations, always going to be major players in the soft plastic. But I think Z-Man's found a great niche, and they are here for the long term. Okay, I've got 420. I'm going to go over that. I'm going to go over baits and setups. So, I love the Jackal Yummy fish. I just don't have any here. So how exactly do you fish the Ned technique? So, alright, so basic setup. If I want to use just the Ned TRD, the hook I'm going to use on this small guy, and there's really two. It's a Z-Man hook. This is basically the Z-Man finesse shrooms head. You'll notice there is nothing special about this at all. It is a little mushroom head with a light wire hook, and it's got a little metal keeper. Very simple rig here. I just go in. You can choose whatever side you want to. I always use the side on here that's got a little ribs on it. eventually that black spot on my finger will go away. And I'll just thread it down there about like that right there. Pop the hook out. And that's a Ned rig. I mean, very, very simple. I mean, it does look like a little turd. That's the simplest way to rig a Ned. Get that hook nice and straight. That's pretty straight on there. And I throw it out there and I let it sit. I let it sit. I don't shake it. I might drag it just a little bit. But what I'll do is I'll make a little short hop of the rod and let it sit 5 to 10 seconds. And a lot of times when this bait is just sitting there, the little tail maybe twitching in the current, because this TRD stuff, it stands up on its head because the way this thing floats entices those fish. The more it's sitting there, I think the more bites you get. I will drop it vertically next to a boat dock and maybe jig it up and down and then let it sit. The slower you can fish a Ned, the more bites you get. It's almost like dead sticking a Senko, but a lot smaller. So speaking of a Senko, you can use that on a Ned. But that's your basic Ned setup. Now, my other head that I really like to use, I'm going to take this one off. The good thing about the Z-Man stuff is you can kind of reuse the plastic quite a bit. Now, a pro tip, do not ever throw your Z-Man plastics in with something else. If you put these in with a pack of Zoom, you will absolutely ruin both baits. This stuff and normal plastic do not mix. That's a great tip, Sean. If you're Sean says, if the fish are active, move it and hop it. If not, let it sink. You really let the fish know. I've had them where they bite this thing. This spring, you would throw it over a point, and they would bite it before it hit the bottom. So that told me I did not have to let this thing sit. In fact, I went to a lighter head. That way, it took a little bit more time to get down there. And when I did hop it, it would slowly float down, and I would catch more fish. So, actually, that was a 300-pound window caught between me and a rack. Here's the thing. You're going to lose a lot of Neds, Joe. I hate to tell a lot of guys this, but one thing, reason I like, one reason I buy just the Ned brand, they're not expensive. You're going to lose a lot of these things. They're for the most part, they're not the most weedless. There are weedless options out there, but your hookup ratio goes down. And to be honest, they're really not that weedless. So, but this is a little heavier wire hook. So this is my second favorite. If I'm throwing a standard TRD, this is the the Ned Locks. It's got a little piece of lead right there. So what I like to do, again, this is my preferred one. I've only got like 2 left. Thread it up on there, and what you'll do, you'll push your plastic over that Ned lock, and it can be a little tough sometimes. Kind of got a pincher and twister, and you'll get that locked on there. Don't have to be perfectly straight. But what I will do is dab me some super glue, dab on the super glue right there. And dude, if you will super glue your Neds to your Ned head, they will last like 50, 60 fish. It's unreal. You'll break off before that baits if you're using the Z-Man. So 420 fishermen, I'm going to let you know, I have some Robo Neds. They do sink, but I have actually caught more bigger fish on that Robo Ned. Don't ask why. And they will stand up on their head, believe it or not. So there's actually a video on YouTube I seen a chick did it with the Robo Ned, and it stands up. So what's up, Chris? Yeah, I was going to get a bunch of Ned stuff. So hey, Sean, I got you. I'll get there, buddy. Right. I don't use the Robo with a shaky head. It's just a little bit too small a bait. So someone was going to ask, when do I use a Ned? When do I use a shaky head? Watercolor, and if it's not that tough, I personally throw a shaky head more than a Ned. But a Ned will get you a lot of bites. And sometimes it's a lot more fun. Best rod to fish a Ned: 6'6" to 7 foot, medium light action rod. You want some backbone, but you got to have that soft tip. And I tell guys all the time on a Ned, there's no need. You don't when you get a bite, don't reel down and jack them. Just start reeling and lean back, and most of the times you're gonna catch them. I like the 3-inch Robo Worm. But anyway, that's your two basic Z-Man Ned heads. Now, they also make the big TRD. So the big TRD, actually, a shaky head is not a Ned head. Totally different things. You know, shaky heads come out a long time ago. That's a totally different thing. For the most part, you're going to use more longer tapered baits on a shaky head. It is going to be weedless. You're going to have a lot bigger hooks, a lot heavier weight. One trick on that Ned head is I don't use heavy weight. You know, 1/6 of an ounce is about the heaviest I'll ever use. Yes, Don, I have, and I'm going to get to that. I've got a lot of that stuff covered. We'll talk about the Z-Man Craw. So this is the big TRD. This is 4.5 inches. You could use a shaky head on this if you want to, but what it was actually designed for is this, which is the power shrooms. So this is a lot longer shank hook. Obviously, I like the weed guard one. And what I'll do is I'll spread these out just a little bit. I actually like these little wire weed guards. And then the big one, again, I do the same thing. Just thread this thing right down the middle. Push that through. And now I've got a little bit bigger, meatier bait for my Ned rig. Now that's not perfectly straight, obviously. That's the only thing I have an issue with. A lot of the Z-Man stuff, it's hard for me personally to get them nice and straight. But it's pretty easy to manipulate their plastic. So the straighter you can get, obviously, the better. But that's the big TRD, and the power shroom set, that's a little bit longer. I really like that color. That's called Canada Craw. Thanks 420 Fisherman, I appreciate it. Neds are great in ponds. Very good pond bait. So that I like the bigger one. Actually, when I'm fishing deep water on my lake, I like the big TRD. Also like it. Most fish are around a lot of shallow cover and they're kind of aggressive. Guys are catching them on flipping baits and stuff like that. On the outside of those bushes where guys would throw Cincos and stuff, I'll throw this big TRD. Same principle. Want to fish it really, really slow, but it still gets a lot of bites. That Nichols magnet head's really good. So what Aaron's talking about, it's a Ned head, real small but real heavy, 1/2 ounce to 3/4, a small hook. A lot of guys like that for fishing really, really deep. I like that hot snakes color. They also got a new chartreuse and purple color. It's like a sour grape color they're supposed to come out with. I'm really excited about. Yes, 10XD does not work very well in ponds, just FYI. Yes, so finesse Carolina rig, big TRD is dynamite. Or split shot rig. I'm glad you said something about the Carolina rig. So many guys have forgot about that. It's just a great way to catch big fish. But so Z-Man has really got the Ned baits. Out of all the stuff, I'm going to prefer their plastic. See what else I got over here. Now this is one I really like as well. This is the Z-Man hula stick. I'm basically going to go all over the Z-Man stuff first. So, very similar to the big TRD, but you've got these little cut tails, and sometimes when they come from the package, you got to split them apart here. And this one is made to kind of have a little bit of a teaser action. So another head I like to use, and somebody mentioned it earlier, is the VMC. This is the VMC head. I think it's like the finesse, you know, mushroom jig head or something like that. Got a little weed guard, but got a very finesse, almost like a crappie hook, but they're very sharp. So this bait sticks, it's got a little bit of a, I'm going to have to take my scissors. See where it come off the mold, it's not flat, so I'll cut it a little bit here. Makes it a lot easier to rig up. Again, the bang sticks. I love this color. This copper truce color is a great color in a little bit dirtier water. I've had really good luck on the smallmouth with this color. And I used to use this in the Z-Man finesse worm for a long time. So there's the VMC one. Now this one's really light. This is like 1/10 of an ounce or something like that. But that's the bank sticks. Got a little bit of a little teaser tail on there. Really, really cool looking bait. Again, just something different for Neds. Z-Man also has a bank sticks, which is a little bit bigger. That's more of a shaky heading bait or a Nico rigging bait. But that I like the hula sticks, and some guys, this is their preferred bait. You really let the fish tell you what they want, and who am I to tell you that this bait's better than your favorite? But just going over the different ones that I prefer. I do like the VMC rigs. Yep. Smallmouth, if you're going to a smallmouth lake, I always prefer to have some kind of chartreuse or an orange. One loud color on top of a natural color always seems to get a bit more bait. What's your favorite Ned weights? How deep? I actually probably like the 1/5 of an ounce or a 1/16 of an ounce. That's my favorite because I can fish that shallow or I can fish it really, really deep. Believe it or not, it does not take long at all for a bait like this that's really light on an 1/8 ounce and really light line and to sink down to 20 foot of water. Yeah, JJ Magic, do not put JJ's Magic on Z-Man. It's, yeah, that's not good. I personally don't use JJ's Magic. It's a little too strong. And if you get it on your boat, it is, forget about it. I use some stuff called from Die Safe, Dying to Fish. It's good. It's got a good smell to it, and it's cheap, and not in glass bottles, or I use Spike it. Yeah, so I have a mini finesse jig that I made with Neds, and I had it out here a while ago. But on a video before, I actually showed you guys how to make your own micro mini jig. Very simple to do. So now, let's see what else I got from Z-Man. Somebody asked earlier about, I knew I already took a bunch of this stuff out of the package somewhere. Here we go. Somebody asked me about this guy right here. This is the TRD Craws, and I got to throw this spring, and believe it or not, I had a good day. I caught several fish on this guy right here. This color is called the Dill, almost like a blue craw. And I was just basically taking a small, this is how I was rigging it, just taking my normal Ned head and running it through the butt, pushing it back through. And I was rigging this little craw just like that right there. Now, they make a weedless hook for this, but the reason I had the exposed hook is I was fishing for smallmouth and whatever, and I was fishing deep gravel banks, and there's really not any brush or any weeds or anything, and I like that exposed hook, and those fish were really picking this thing up and just moving with it. It almost wasn't a bite. You just sit there and watch your line, all of a sudden they just take off with it. and I really, really liked it. Yep, it's called Die Safe. You could use any kind of those James you want to. You just, the trick to making that jig is it's got to have this keeper on it. Like, you've got to have a keeper up here to be able to push that skirt collar over. And if the hook's not, if it's too thin, you can't, the skirt won't hold. So you got to have some super glue. I don't think it matters, William, to be honest with you. You can rig it how you want to. Everyone asks me about that, or soft plastic. I rig it just the fastest way possible, to be honest with you. Whatever's going. But I really actually like the hook coming out of the top end of the bait. These just happen to be laminated. I think for the most part it's going to stand up this way. If your hook's up here, that's which way to stand up. If not, it's going to stand up that way. So I usually do put my hook coming out the top head, but I really like the TRD Craw. One, the pinchers don't come off, but man, on little streams and stuff like that, we're around a lot of rock. I personally prefer using just this normal Ned head. Now, if you're fishing around a lot of weeds or grass, or maybe you want to drag this thing through bushes, this is the weedless Ned head. It's the finesse bullets. So I'm going to show you guys a tip. I've had guys say they have a lot of problems rigging this thing. What you got to do, all you need to do is just go in like a eighth of an inch, if that, and you want to kind of make this little loop like so, and then you'll push, you'll open that loop up, and I'm trying to and then you'll push that little loop, see that, onto the bait, or through the bait, and then see how I spun that? It's just a little bit of loop holding that on there, and then you expose it, and you'll see that little gap, the little piece of meat right between the head and the thing. So if you're going to fish this bait, and which it was designed for, so when you're dragging it around those grass piles, it's going to kick up and stand up. And man, actually, believe it or not, this thing was very realistic. It doesn't look like it, but man, when you put this little bullet's head on it and it's dragging around, it looks great in the water. A great little crawdad imitator. I caught a lot of fish around a boat ramp with this, and the reason that is the boat ramps are always getting washed out and stuff, and crawfish are moving around, and this little guy was good. So that's how you use the weedless Ned heads, the finesse bullets. Which do you prefer, clear stained water for the Ned? Clear. I don't, stained or dirty water, I do not throw a Ned. I will throw a shaky head, or I'm going to throw a jig. But a Ned is not my go-to. And that's, a Ned can find you fish, but on places where I'm fishing that are heavy, largemouth, dominant, and current-oriented reservoirs like Pickwick, Gunnersville, places like that, Chickamauga, your Ned is never going to be your first choice. Now, if you're a numbers game, absolutely, but for the most part, you're not going to win a tournament on a Ned rig unless it's like really, really tough. Can you keep Z-Man and Zoom Yum in the same container but leave them in their bags? Yeah. If you leave them in the bags, just don't mix them in together. What's up, Baitman? How did you do in your tournament? You're the best. I didn't do very good. Just one of those days. They dropped the water like 6 inches, but I'm not going to 5x3, no excuses myself. I just sucked and didn't catch them. Yeah, these craws are great on little finesse jigs too. So very versatile little bait. Like this thing a lot. Oh, let's see. I've got covered that. Now, this is also a really good Ned bait. This is the TRD tubes. You want to talk about a smallmouth killer? This thing right here in little rivers or up north is awesome. Now, a lot of guys say, well, how do you rig the TRD tube? Well, you can use this hook right here. This is an owner finesse ball head hook. I forgot the exact name, but they got a football version coming out. It's basically a small stupid tube hook, and I'll do it like this. Now I'll let that head kind of be exposed there. Yep. It's almost... I'll kind of fish it like that right there. Got your little head. You don't see a tube rig like that quite often, and then your hook just sits there in the back end, and it's ready. And just kind of expose the hook in the plastic. Usually works. Or some guys, you can just run this thing all the way through the tube and bring that out. But I'll use that, or you can actually stuff this thing. You can do it like a stupid tube, because it's got a really, really small hook. Bring it in backwards. You can see that head slide on that thing right there. And just... But this Z-Man plastic's a little tough for this thing, because the head is solid on this tube, unlike many other tubes. But you could do it stupid tube. It's really tough. I just go right in, go out, and that number right there usually get her done. Or you can put it with whatever tube you want to, or head. So you can take, you can take your Ned locks. Little Ned locks is a great one for these TRD tubes, because it's got that solid head. Once you get over that Ned locks, it should stick on there. Sometimes you have to twist these things just a little bit on that Ned lock, but when it's on, it's on. So that's a really good little Ned bait right there. That's your TRD tube. It's going to stand up. Great little bed and fish bait. So I had a buddy tell me that's how he was catching them off beds on a little deep clear lake in Alabama. Said I was taking that TRD tube and pitching it on the beds, and they couldn't stand it. Kind of, you can see where it kind of would look like a crawfish. Be great up north. So very versatile baits. Now I've tried rigging it stupid style. Just tried. It's really tough. You can't get it, but they put a lot of plastic right there in the head. Let's see. I'm gonna go answer a couple questions. What's up, Greg Thomas? Shills is awesome. What think of using a 4-inch Ocho for a Ned rig? That would work, man. Guys use a dinger. They cut off a Cinco. Those are great. Let's see. Yeah, so I have not seen a Bass Dynasty crawl. I would like to. Here's the cool thing about a Ned head. There's not a can you or would you. There's no rules to a Ned head. Typically, you want something small, 2.5 to 3 inches. If you think you can use it, go for it. There's not a rule that says, you know what, you can't cut a trick worm in half and use it. You can. That's the one thing I tell you guys. Experiment. Don't just listen to one guy say you have to use this bait on there, or you have to use this, or that can't be used for a Ned rig. The key is it's small, it's light, it's compact. So if you think you have something good for a Ned rig, try it. And don't be afraid to have something a little bigger, in that 4-inch range, or even a little bit meatier. No, I don't think it's worth the time to pour my own Ned heads. I mean, by the time if you're going through hundreds of them a week, yes. But me, no. I just seem to go bomb. Picasso Rhino Head, Owner Blockhead, or Money. Best hookup money ratio of them all. Yeah, I got some. I meant to put these in my box. This is. I'm glad he said that. So this is one of my favorite net heads. This is the Owner Blockhead. So now I'll get into some other stuff that's not a TRD. So one thing about the Owner Blockhead is it has a little bit thicker hook, and it's got a really long weed guard. You're not going to bend this hook out. It's a really, really good one. Good price. I love Owner hooks. They're super freaking sharp. So, another one of my favorites is right here. This is the Robo Ned. You can see I've got one. This is rigged up with that Owner weedless hook. You can see how this bait's weedless now. It's got that little ball head. I think it's called the Owner weedless finesse ball head. But it's a really, really good one. Yeah, a lot of guys keep talking about that Mustad pin grip. I'll be honest, didn't even realize they made it till now. Guys that are fishing a lot of shallow cover and want an even bigger hook, this is a great way. You got that big hook gap. This thing just won't get hung up. It's really, really slick. Now that's the Robo Worm. This color is like green pumpkin perch. This is a color, obviously I've got only like 3 left. I've done really, really well on. So I like the little yellow teaser tail on this thing. And I've been putting this on the back of a finesse jig as well. So one thing about the Robo Worm is you can get so many different colors. You can get the Morning Dawns, the Prism Shad, a Desert Craw. But that's their 3-inch, and they make a 4.5-inch version, which is actually a really good finesse Nico rig worm. And we'll talk Nico rigs another night. But anyway, like I was saying, the Owner Blockhead is really good. This is another color of the Robo Worm. This is a TW black and blue. This is green pumpkin and a black and blue mix, basically tramp stamp. But the Owner Blockhead, again, I like it a lot. Very good, solid hook. I'm going to have to get glasses. Just thread her up there. Let her eat. So that's a Robo Ned in a TW black and blue. That's a special tackle warehouse color. Really like the Owner Blockhead. Super, super good hook. Stout, super sharp. Probably my favorite out of all the Ned heads, to be honest with you. Now, if I'm using the Z-Man plastic, I just prefer to use their little heads. But for Robo Worms and a couple others, I like this one. It does have a bait keeper on it. If you'll notice down the shaft, it's got a really long bait keeper. It's a lot stouter keeper. It's not going to break. It's the only downside of the Z-Man stuff. Their bait keepers break quite a bit. Let's see. Pressure fish get acclimated to certain baits and colors. Different. Absolutely, man. It's, you know, we all have our favorites. But sometimes when our favorites get really, really popular, they don't catch fish as much anymore. Just got to do something different. I have not used any of the Picasso net heads. I actually seen them today, the tungsten net heads. I almost bought them, but they're like $9. And I just really didn't want to spend $9 today. What's up, Ron, Jeremy? You slinging that big worm around tonight or what? Do you use bigger Ned worms as the water warms up? I'll just kind of get away from Ned worms, actually. Once the water gets in about 70, 75, I'm fishing offshore, and I'll get into my shaky head stuff, but it's just kind of a preference. Some guys like the 4.5, I like the 3-inch, but so Owner Blockhead, Robo Worm. Now this is this worm here. I'm trying to keep all this stuff from scattering out. This worm here quickly became one of my favorite little Ned worms, and this is the X-Zone Ned Zone. This is a sweet little bait, and believe it or not, it does stand up. I tested it out. Found these on TW one night, just browsing around. Bought some. It's got this little bulbous tail on it. Ron Jeremy, you seen that? Kind of look familiar to you? And I like it. So what I use, I actually paired it up with this little Gamakatsu finesse hook. And I think this is actually a crappie jig head, but it works really good. And it's got a screw lock on here. So I like these X-Zone because they're perfectly flat up top. Make no mistake about it. So you take your little worm on there, thread it, and we'll do our thing we do with screw locks. Slide this thing, spin it around, put that 80s song on there, spin it right round. And your little Ned baits are not coming off now. So that is the X-Zone Ned Zone. And I might got it off center just a little bit, but that's okay. I'm telling you, as long as it's straight, the fish don't care if your hook's off center or not. It's still going to catch them. Trust me, if they're going to eat these things anyway, they ain't worried about if it's off center. But I really like the little X-Zone Ned Zone worm. They got some awesome little colors. And you can see I'm just holding it there to my hand and how much action this little guy is. Several great colors on Tackle Warehouse. I forgot the name of this color, but it's a good one. That's all I know. Kind of that blue craw, green pumpkin, copper on there. But I really like this little Gamakatsu net. I don't think a lot of people know about this little hook, but it's stout. Good hook. But still light wire, and I like the screw lock because this plastic right here, it's not going to come off. You know, fish are going to bite your worm in half before it just comes off this right here. So, do you like longer 7.4, 7.6 medium light for rods, or do you prefer shorter rod? Personally, I like something around 7 foot. And the reason I like a shorter rod is because if I am fishing around docks and stuff like that, it's easier for me to skip with a 7 foot rod. I know some guys are going to argue and say they like a longer spinning rod. I get it, but those longer spinning rods to me take away a little bit of sensitivity. Now, if I'm fishing, you know, way out deep or something, yeah, 7.1, 7.2 is fine. But I really like that 6 to 7 foot. I like a 7 foot medium light. I use my dial with drop shot rod quite a bit, and I've used the Stix finesse rod, the 1 power finesse sticks. I really like it. So, but whatever works for you. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the Ned rig expert because I'm not. I mean, I've watched a guy throw it on bait caster and crush them. So, totally up to you what you want to do with it. I better put these owner blockheads in here before I forget about them again. So I'll show you a couple other Ned baits I've got as well, and something else totally different. Let's put this back in here. I'm just trying to keep the mess down. I definitely enjoy you guys joining me today. Where is that guy? So here's a new bait from Missile Baits. This is the Ned Bomb, and I tell you what, I'm just gonna, rig each one of these up with that owner blockhead. So this is the Ned Bomb. This is Alabama Craw. I'll show you what this guy looks rigged up. A little bit beefier and bulkier than many of the baits. Oh yeah, look at that guy. Look at that. So it almost kind of got a little half swim bait Ned worm kind of deal. It's got a real flat tail. Someone said they got some and they had some packaging issues, that the tails were bent and stuff like that. Sorry to hear that. Sent old Byron a message on Facebook. But I really like how this butts up. If you can see that, how that's flat, so not going to have a lot of rigging issues. Definitely a cool little bait from Missile Baits. They got some new colors in. I know it's Tackle Warehouse had Super Bug and black and blue. Oh, those are really popular D-bomb colors. So this is kind of a cross between a D-bomb and a bomb shot. So that's the new Missile Ned Bomb. Haven't thrown it yet. Obviously, that'll catch them. Really like that Bama Craw color. I have to ask, what color is that top left Spro crank on the wall? This one right here. This one's just Chartreuse blue, and this one is Citrus Nasty, I think, or Citrus Shad. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about those. Can't wait for deep cranking. What's up, Nate? So that's the Missile Bomb Shot. Just come out. Haven't thrown it. Got it last week, I believe. I'm probably going to order some of those Super Bug. That's an awesome color. That green pumpkin, black and blue. What else have I got here? So, a lot of people don't know about this little trick. But what I will do, and I have seen it done, is the Kitech 2.8. Really small swim bait. We're going to trim her up. Trim this head nice and flat. And then we're going to take our owner blockhead. We're going to make a hybrid finesse swim bait on this thing. So you talk about a little bitty super finesse Ned swim bait. There you go. Kitech 2.8. And that's a 6 ounce owner blockhead. Actually, it is an 1/8 ounce. So super finesse swim bait, and then when you stop it, you're going to get a little bit of stand-up action with that Ned. Where this is really good, shad spawn. Like right now, those shad are spawning spotted bass around the edges of boat docks. You can swim this thing really slowly on light line and stop it. And dude, the crappie will mash this thing. If you got big crappie, this thing right here will catch those. I have not tried the Jean LaRue Ned bait, but these little small Ned heads and these small swim baits will catch you a lot of fish when there's a lot of pressure. When those shad are spawning and there's lots of little bitty shad everywhere, and you see the bass schooling and they just won't bite, this right here, and you can let this thing fall and just sit there on the bottom and you'll catch a few fish. But that is the small 2.8 Kitech, Rage Swimmer, whatever you want to throw, those itty bitty small swim baits on a Ned head. Don't forget, shad fall to the bottom all the time. Yeah, you could use the Ned head as a ball head replacement, obviously. I've got some owner ball heads right here, a little bit bigger. That's more of a bigger finesse swim bait type deal. This is almost an ultra finesse presentation. Now, speaking of swim baits, one that a totally different Ned deal, and you guys have had to have seen these on my YouTube live before. I'm gonna put this back in the package. Now I'm running out of hooks. Is this guy right here. So this is the Hog Farmer Spunk Shad. Probably the biggest of the Ned baits I have. Right? Awesome bait. Matter of fact, I've got an email. I did a little Hog Farmer Spunk Shad giveaway. And the guy got his baits. And I'll be honest, it took me a while to get them out. And one of his packages got lost. So I sent him another package. And literally less than a week, he sent me an email. Said, dude, I jacked him up on the Spunk Shad. And this guy right here, this is the Hog Farmer stand-up Ned head. So Hog Farmer's probably got the longest hook in here. And he made this little Spunk Shad. It's kind of like a Jerky J, but it makes a great Ned bait. And this is the longer version. He makes a 3.5 inch and a 4.5 inch. You see, I trimmed the head to make it nice and flat. As very thick up here. Great chatterbait trailer as well. But man, if you've seen these things underwater, it's unreal what this little spunk shed on the Ned head looks like. So you just slide it on like that. And you push your weed guard back, however. And this guy right here looks awesome crawling around on the bottom. And this little tails is just sitting there twitching and twitching and twitching and quivering. Scrounger head, chatterbait, the spunk shed's really good, and what it was kind of designed for, the Ned head. So they make a 3.5 inch and a 4.5 inch, lots of colors. And Scott at Hog Farmer is a big supporter of the Baitman channel. So anytime you order from Hog Farmer Bait Company, just let him know the Baitman sent you. And me and Hog Farmer got some big things going on. Hopefully, I'll be able to let you guys know exactly what's going on with me and Hog Farmer Baits pretty soon. But it's good stuff. So Scott's always thinking, innovating. This little head is awesome. A little bit bigger bait. Very versatile bait. But he originally designed the spunk shad for Scrounger, and then kind of find out, guys, like, dude, that's an awesome Ned bait. So that thing right there, that is awesome. Has a lot of buoyancy. Yeah, so this thing won't roll, and it stands straight up. I wish I had some video, but I don't. Hog Farmer's website should have video, or Instagram. Man, Scott, I know you're wanting the T-spin jig. He is, those are really hard to make. Dude, Hog Farmer's swim bait heads are good. I'll tell you what I would like to see somebody make is a finesse Ned wobble head. And somebody makes some small itty bitty 3-4 inch like biffle bugs, or maybe use a tiny brush hog, or maybe a baby D-bomb, and have a little Ned wobble head. I think that would be really awesome. I would also like a full head of hair because mine's going away. So that's kind of, that's not every Ned bait out there. That's just, what I like, what I've been successful with catching them on. Here's my micro jig. So there's a homemade Ned jig right there. One thing I'll let you guys know, I just basically slid a skirt over that power TRD. When you make these Ned jigs, you need to make sure you trim your skirt up real good. It don't do no good if all you got is a big bulky skirt. I'm going to trim it a little bit right here. And now I've got me a really finesse micro jig. And I can take whatever I want to and put it on the back. Like I can take this motor oil TRD Craw. I'll go ahead and do that. So instead of going to buy a bunch of them, you can kind of make your own. I like this little motor oil Craw, just a little green Craw. Take this guy. Take my Craw. Push her up on here. Oh, look at that. That is big, sexy right there. That is a little weedless TRD jig with a TRD Craw on the back of that. And the cool thing is you can trim these skirts and do all the stuff you want to. For the most part, that right there will get you some bites. And the shorter you trim it, the more it kind of flares out. So, how do I make them Ned jigs? I take power shrooms and I slide a skirt over it. That's all I do. Nothing crazy. There's actually a video of Mikey Ball showing how to do that. And you can do it different ways, but you can pull skirts out here, pull skirts out there. But if you got a favorite skirt color that you catch a lot of fish on, turn it into a Ned skirt. I would love to find some small tungsten ones. Make some. I like the Kitech tungsten jigs. Those are my favorites. So, all right, I'm gonna clean some of this stuff up. I've got a mess, and then I've got to go hang out with the kids. So, hopefully, you guys learned something. You can also do stuff like this. It kind of has a translucent chartreuse color. So this isn't a mag trick worm. This is from a company called Crack, and this is like their mag trick worm. But what I'm saying is, you can take small things like this, and you can say, "Man, I really like that," and you can cut it up and make a little Ned head out of it. Whatever you want to do. You know, maybe I'll just go this long right here. Their plastic stands up. Love the color. Ned doesn't make it. Then you add your little TRD head. It doesn't look so strange once you add that head, like that little bubble tail. That's a cool little bait. So, you know, again, all I did was experiment. I pulled out a magnum sized worm, trimmed it down. I could make, you know, like 4 Neds of bait. So don't be afraid to get outside the box. And my last one I'll show you guys is something Bass Elite Series Pro Clint Davis showed me on Kentucky Lake. So this is the Mr. Twister Pocket Craw. Okay, Pocket Craw. Go ahead, take the little pinchers off, and believe it or not, this is what Clint does. He'll take this and then trim this thing up right here, and then Clint will take him a little Ned head. He actually uses a Clint Davis toadstool, and this is an itty bitty finesse approach. And then he's almost got like a little, whoop, got that thing bent a little bit. He's almost got like a little finesse Helgramite on there. And Mr. Twister actually makes a little Helgramite that's awesome on a Ned head. I know it's so stupid, but he said, I didn't have any Neds one day, and I just started pulling things apart. And I come up with this little guy right here on a Ned head. And he said, dude, it's like a little bitty crayfish. Those little things out there. So, you know, a Chigger Craw or Mr. Twister Pocket Craw, stuff like that. Again, experiment. Heck yeah, Sean, anytime. Get a hold of me on social media and we'll try to go. When I'm not, I work down there at Pella in Murray. Unfortunately, they got me on them midnights, and I've been working a ton this week and last week. So we'll see. Again, like I said, I hope to do this for a living one day, and hopefully I can get out. 194 people watching. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video tonight. I enjoy it every Saturday night. Hopefully you guys are getting good information. Unfortunately, Ned rigs aren't super sophisticated, and that's what makes them very successful. You can be 4 years old or you can be 70 years old. It's very easy to fish these things. Very easy to experiment, and it's just cool. I knew I was leaving one thing out. This is the Reaction Innovations Shiver Shot. This is actually a drop shot bait. But, again, cut it and make it a little flat on the head. Take whatever your favorite Ned head hook is. You make you a little shad-like Ned bait. Look at that. Boom. Always be experimenting. That's the cool thing I can tell you about Ned baits is keep it simple, but don't afraid to be thinking outside the box. If everybody does the same thing, we're always going to catch the same fish. Do something different. Give them something different. I like that right there. Now I have tried that and it works really good. So, again, I want to thank you guys very much for joining tonight. You've hammered bass behind the paddle punt? Dude, you've got to send me a message. Let's go hammer some bass behind my work. Believe it or not, I would like to give a shout out to Pella, all my coworkers and stuff. If you're watching here, they've been very supportive of my YouTube channel, and they always tease me, but they're like, man, I think it's awesome that you're doing that and you have the following. my like line leader, he didn't really understand what was going on, and we told him. And then, but even the guys in HR, they were like, "Man, we watch your videos, man. They're really good." So I don't even know if I can say that, but I'm really. It makes me cool. I go work for a place, and so many people support the video. So I'm not going to quit just yet. I think the shad are spawning right now, Jesse. Right now, so. But Sean, look me up on Instagram. It's like Baxter the Baitman. Send me a message and let me know. I'd love to go hammer some bass behind the plant there. So, but thank you guys so much for joining in. You guys let me know what kind of topics you want to see me cover. But I can tell you it's fixing to be ledge season. And probably the first video I'm going to really do is get on deep crankbaits and deep swim baits, big worms. I need to do a frog fishing video. So, unfortunately, I go frog fishing. I can't get the hook in them. It just happens. So, but I'm going to go hang out with the family. And if you want, after this video, what I'll do is I'll go link a bunch of different Ned hooks and baits on Tackle Warehouse and Hog Farmer. I'll link his stuff, and that's what we'll do. But make sure you smash the like button. After the video uploads, do me a favor, leave a comment. And I think we're going to give away this Baitman Box I got behind me. We're going to do that on Instagram and Facebook this week. So, stroking a jig. I already got Bill Schrader coming on. So, Thursday night, Facebook Live, and I'll re-upload Brent Anderson to be on here as well. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a wonderful evening, and God bless each and every one of you.